Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, thank you for taking the time out to watch this video, and if you're returning, thank you for your continuous support. So I did a quick Instagram tutorial and I asked all my followers if they would like a YouTube video for this look in particular, and I did a poll on my Instagram story, and I also asked people to comment down below, and I posted it on my feed if they would like a YouTube video. And the reason why I'm here is because it was voted yes, we want a YouTube video. This is my first time doing a talk through video, so I apologize if it's not the best, but we're going to get there. We're going to stay positive, and I'm going to do my best to talk you guys through the process. Everything that I will be using will be linked down below in the description. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Right, so it's the evening time for me, guys. So it's been a long day, and I want to make sure that my face is nice and clean before I put anything else on it. So to do that, I'll use Garnier's Micellar Cleansing Water. This is what I tend to gravitate to the most. Apology that my light is really bright, but it's one with the pink lid on it. I'll just go ahead with my micellar water. So it's nice and damp, and I just go over my whole face basically. I think this one is for sensitive skin. I don't have sensitive skin, but I tend to buy things for sensitive skin just so I can be on the safe side. Then what I'm going to go ahead and do is prime my face. And how I do that is you want to focus on how your skin naturally is. Do you have oily skin? Do you have combination skin? Do you have dry skin? Figure that out first, and then you'll be able to pick the products that are best fitting for your skin. For me personally, I have combination, and what that means is I get oily or I get dry in certain areas of my face. So for me, I get dry on my cheeks, but I get oily in my T-zones, which is around here in your forehead. And sometimes for me, my oiliness drags a little bit under my eyes here. So what I wanted to try for a long time is this primer by Becca. It's the Evermatte Poreless Primer. And how it feels, I know it's doing the job, but because we're in lockdown, I can't go anywhere to really test how this primer is going to work. But for the purpose of the video, I just wanted to let you guys know what exactly it is I'm using. So what I like to do is just get a little bit of it. And it's taken a while to come out because I'm being careful not to squeeze too much out. And I just want you guys to see how my skin changes. And it's, if you can see that, it's proper stiff. So it's really filling in my pores and smoothing out the areas of my skin that get the most oily. Over the lockdown, I actually broke out quite a bit on this side of my face, which is why you can see some dark marks there, because I picked my spots. Who told me to pick them? But I picked them, and these are now the areas of my face that get the most dry. So my cheeks are the areas where I get the most dry. So what I like to do is moisturize those areas with the Soft Silk Pro Filter Hydrating Primer by Fenty. Again, I apologize guys, my light is really bright, but this is what I use. I use about 3 pumps on each side of my face. And I just rub it in. Just rub it in like you're creaming yourself. Once I've done that, that's when I'm going to go in with my Photo Finish Primer Water to seal everything in. So I just use about 2 or 3 sprays of this. So the first one that we're going to dive straight into is eyebrows. So the first thing you want to do is grab your spoolie or whatever brush it is that you use to brush your eyebrows. This is the brush that I use. This is a spoolie. Any brush you want to use, this is what I prefer. So if you see me looking down, it's because my mirror is here. What I like to do is just pull up the skin just above my brow and just brush them. Now, because we're going to do an eyeshadow look, I'm going to apply some concealer underneath my brows to carve them out, but also on my lid, so that we've got a nice clean base for us to add our eyeshadow. I tend to go over concealer that's between 2 and 3 shades lighter than my skin tone. That way the eyeshadow really pulls through. So the concealer that I'm going to use today is from one of my favorite brands called NARS, and I'm going to be using their Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade, I don't know if it's a Mad or a Mande. I've heard a few people call it different things, but this is the shade that I'm going with. So you're just going to take some, put it on the back of your hand like that, and then you want to grab a flat brush. So this is the flat brush I'm talking about, something nice and flat, and it's going to give you the control that you need to carve under your brow. So you're going to pick up some of the product onto your brush like this. Again, the technique of lifting up the skin just above your brow, it's going to allow you to get right underneath your brow. So I'm going to get as close to my brow hairs as possible, but not covering them. So I've just gone under my brow and carved out the shape of my brow, and what this is going to do is give you a guideline for when you actually fill in your brows. So once that's done, I'm just going to drag the rest of the product on top of my lid, because this is what we're going to use as a base for our eyeshadow. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to blend out the base, just to make sure it's nice and smooth and seamless. So I'm going to be picking up this brush here, which is quite dense, but it's also very fluffy, but it's a really good brush for blending out concealer. Again, lifting up the skin just above the brow and pressing the product in. So that's our smooth base. Then what you want to do is just focus on the outer corners of your eyes, because you want to make sure this is nice and blended. So just spend time blending out your outer corner and your inner corner. So now what we're going to be doing is using a fluffy brush of your choice. I'm going to be using a Spectrum B06 brush. This brush actually comes in a set, and the only shade that we're going to be picking up is from the Clientele palette. The same shade I showed you earlier, GG. If you've got a burgundy that's similar to this shade, or you want to buy this palette, by all means go ahead. Again, what we want to do is we're going to focus on our lid. So I'm going to start patting the color on our lid. Take your time with this, and the way to find out where your lid actually is, if you pull your skin up here and you have a mirror just below your face, you'll be able to see your eye socket. Your lid is below the groove of your eye socket, and that's where we want to keep the color, because at some point what we're going to be doing is blending out the color so it goes in and above our crease, but we want the main amount of color on our lid. If you can see where my hand is, this is where I'm holding the brush. The closer you are to the tip of the brush, the harsher your application is going to be. That's why I'm right at the end, because I want there to be a light touch on it. So once I'm happy with the colour payoff, I'm going to set this brush to one side, and then I'm going to pick up a Peaches and Cream brush. This is the PC22. This brush is really good because it gets right in the corners of things, and it's a really good blending brush to lift up the brow. We're not adding any color to this brush. This brush is clean. All we're going to be doing is circular motions into our crease, and what this is going to do is slowly bring up that color that we applied on our lid in and above our crease. And then what I'm going to do once I've done that, just pick up the same brush that I used for the lid colour. I'm just going to swipe this into my crease. This has no extra product, it's just the remaining product. So I'm just swiping this inside my socket. So as you can see, I'm right in my socket now, because you can see the shape of it. I'm lightly just rubbing back and forth that colour, and then with our same brush, we're just going to go in blend that out. This is a Morphe M441 brush. I'm just going to pick up a transition shade that's near enough the same shade as a concealer that I put on earlier. So to do that, I'm going to pick up from my same clientele palette this color here, Dirty Tan. Don't know why it's called Dirty Tan. I'm going to pick up Dirty Tan, a small amount of this, and I'm going to use it to go over the edges that I just blended out. So lift up your brow, tap off the excess, and just use it to go over those edges. Now what we're going to do is focus on our under eyes. So we're going to take the same concealer that we used to conceal our lid, and we're going to take a small amount and just go under our under eyes. So what you want to grab is the same flat brush that you used earlier to just blend out that concealer. And the one thing that I love to do is to make my eyeshadows nice and sharp. So the excess product that I have on my brush, I'm just going to use this and go along the line. So what you want to do is use the corner of your eye as your guide. So wherever your eye ends, use your brush, place it there, and start to create a small faint line. And that's just going to define your eyeshadow slightly. Cool. Once we have our concealer blended out on our under eyes, I'm then going to grab a small fluffy brush. So this is again from Peaches and Cream. This is a PC39 brush. I'm going to be picking up the same burgundy shade that we use for our lid, and we're going to be dusting this underneath our eyes. Okay, like so. Then what we're going to do is grab a eyeliner of your choice. I'm going to be using Pixie's Endless Silky Eye Pen. I really like this because it glides onto your eye. Doesn't feel chalky, doesn't hurt, is really nice and smooth, and it's very, very black. So I'm going to be applying this into my waterline. And once that's in there, I'm going to go back into our palette, and there is a black shade at the bottom right, and it's called Just Black. I'm going to be picking that up with the same brush that we used to apply our burgundy, and pick up some Just Black, and we're going to be dusting that just below our black we put into our waterline. Okay, so as you can see, it's smoking it out a bit. So what you want to do is just dip in between your burgundy shade and in between your black. Once you're done with that, you just want to grab a mascara of your choice. I'm using one by Lancome. I'm not going to pronounce it. It's in French, but this is the one that I love to use. My top lashes are not as thick and obvious, so I don't tend to put any product on my top lashes before I put any lashes on. I just tend to leave them as they are. So now what I'm going to do is use my favorite lashes from Cocoa Honey Cosmetics, and these are in the shade Mist. So I'm going to be applying these to my lashes. I'm going to leave my discount code below, so you can get 25% off when you purchase from there. But I'm going to be using the lashes in the style Mist. They're nice and fluffy and perfect for a look that's not too heavy, not too dramatic. These lashes kind of look like you've got individuals on. So my favorite lash glue to use as well. If you're just starting out with lashes, I would suggest that you use the Blue Duo glue. But if you're someone who's more confident and maybe looking for a stronger lash glue, I would go with this green one from Duo. It's really, really good. If this is your first time using lashes, what I would suggest is you have a mirror below your chin. The reason why I would say to have a mirror just below your chin is so you can see directly above your eyelid here. You want to be able to see right where your lash line is, and that's what's going to help you apply your lashes exactly where they need to be. So I would have a mirror just below you, below your chin, and then you can lower your lashes on. So you can watch me do it. I'm just going to lower my lashes on. I tend to place them in the middle and then connect on the outer bit and then the inner bit. Lashes can be a bit fiddly, so don't worry if you don't get it right first time. Once they're on and they're secure, what I would say is use your fingers and clamp your natural lashes with your falsies. So this is what the falsies look like on. They just bring everything back to life. So once I've got my falsies on, sometimes I go back in with my eyeshadow and just make sure everything is seamless and where it needs to be. I've not got any extra product on any of my brushes. I just like to dip in between things to go back in and make sure everything's done properly. And that's that. So I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to go and do this eye, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. I've done the other eye now, so I'm just going to zoom you guys out. Now we're going to focus on the skin. So like I was telling you guys earlier, I broke out really badly over the first lockdown, and now I have some dark spots. I also picked this spot that was on my forehead about 2 weeks ago. So to just kind of hide those areas, I'm going to be using a concealer that's near enough my same skin tone. So I actually bought this concealer with the expectation that I could use it as highlight for under my eyes, but it turned out that it was the same color as my skin tone, if not slightly darker. So the packaging was slightly misleading, I think that's the best word. So this is the concealer, but then again, when I've got it against it. Anyway, whenever you buy something and it might not be the right shade, always try and mix it with something else or give it to somebody else, but there can always be a use for something. So instead of throwing it out or giving it to someone else, I found a use for it. So now I use it to conceal any dark areas. So you can see it's slightly darker than my skin tone. And I'm going to blend in my foundation today using a Peaches and Cream PC19 brush. It's this big fluffy brush, but it's quite dense and it's really nice for foundations. I didn't really understand why people were using brushes like this for foundations, but it gives you a really nice coverage. So that's what I'm going to be using today. But first I'm going to be using it to blend out that concealer I put on my cheek. So as you can see, those dark marks are slowly disappearing. So yeah, they're not 100% gone, but they're slowly disappearing. This one's a lot darker than the other ones. I didn't expect this one to disappear. But yeah, just a slight cover up there. Then what I'm going to be using today for my foundation is the Fenty Pro Filter Hydrating Primer in the shade 445. It looks really light on camera, but it is actually my skin tone. This is quite full coverage and I'm not a full coverage kind of girl, so I'm going to be showing you guys how much I actually use. Less than a pump is basically what I use. So I'm just going to go over my face and apply it to the areas that I need it. I don't apply foundation to my forehead. I stopped doing that a while ago. I don't know, I just don't feel like I need it on my forehead. So yeah, we're gonna go in and start blending that foundation out. So the same NARS concealer in the shade Ahmad or Amande. I'm just gonna apply this directly under my eye, but mainly to the front section of my eye. And then what I'm going to use is the same flat brush that I used earlier to carve out my brows. I'm going to start using this to distribute the product exactly where I want it. Now, placement's really important when it comes to concealer. Look at your natural features and follow the guidelines. So I can see that I've got a natural shadow here where my nose is. I'm bringing the concealer exactly where that natural line is on my nose, not going over it, just exactly where it is. And that's going to give you the illusion that you contoured your nose, and you didn't. You're literally just following your natural shadows. I'm not going to extend it too far to the outer corners of my face, just where I had that line earlier where we created. That's where I'm going to bring my concealer out to. So once it's there, using the same brush that we used to blend out the concealer on our lid, we're going to be using that brush to blend out the concealer under our eyes. I like to work in sections because some products dry faster than others, but I just feel like I have more control when I work section by section. And once I'm happy with the coverage, I'm going to take the same flat brush and whatever excess is left, and I'm going to be doing a reverse contour. And what this means is we're applying concealer below our jawline. Just a small amount, nothing too major. So I just applied a small amount like that, and you can see that it's snatched it. It's made it look like I've bronzed and I haven't. So we're just going to blend that out slightly. Only need a tiny bit to do this, so don't go overboard. If you want to, go ahead, but for me personally, you don't need a lot. So I'm just blending it out with that same brush. Then to remove that harsh kind of line of it looking kind of light, I'm going to use my foundation brush to just go over that. And I know it kind of feels like, why are you erasing what you just put there? But we just want there to be a slight contour. We don't want it to be too heavy because I'm going to go in with blush later anyway to help with it. So you can see, if you compare each side of my face, you can see that I've slightly defined it a bit more to bring out my cheekbones that were already there. So yeah, now I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye. So once that's blended out as well, another trick that I like to do is go over the edges of the concealer that I applied with the same fluffy brush that I used to blend out my foundation. No extra product, but we're just using it to remove any harsh lines and to make everything as nice and seamless as it should be. Okay, so now that I've done that, what I want to then go ahead and do is highlight my nose. So I'm going to take the same concealer and I just do a faint line down the middle of my nose, and then I apply some at the tip of my nose, but I don't join the two, I keep the two separate. So I've seen a lot of people talk about this, so I really wanted to try it. So I'm using the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder in the shade Kunafa. So it's this yellowy shade. So then what I'm going to do is just pick up a fluffy brush by Peaches and Cream again. This is their PC17 brush. I'm going to be picking up some Kunafa. Again, when you pick it up, tap some extra product off. And then what you want to do is do an ugly face so you can stretch your skin. And go ahead and pat. I don't bake, I'm a girl who likes to press her powder in. To me, you get the best results that way. So I'm nice and set. So now what we're going to do is bronze, which is my favorite step, and it's by my favorite brand, well, one of my favorite brand, Fenty Beauty in the shade Mocha Mummy. This is my favorite blush of all time. I'm going to be using an angled contour brush. I don't know, well, I do know where I got this from. It came in my college kit, which I got 4 years ago now, so it's not actually from a specific brand, but I would say try and use an angled fluffy brush if you can. That's what I'm using. So I'm going to be picking up Mocha Mummy, a decent amount of this, like I swirl it in there like there's no tomorrow, and look exactly where you applied that nice reverse contour, because you just want to apply your blush slightly above that. Okay, and if you're conscious of where you want to apply your blush as well, use the tip of your ear and come down diagonally. That's where you're going to apply your blush. I'm very generous with blush because it's my favorite bit, so I like to apply it here and then just come up gradually where my baby hairs are, almost kind of creating an odd shaped C. So once you're happy with your bronze, I'm going to use the same brush, but I'm going to use the tip of it, and I'm going to go in with Oma Beauty's highlight in the shade Barbados, which is a country where I am from. It's beautiful, but yeah, just pick up a small amount of it on the end of your brush, and I'm just going to, oh, do you guys see that? She's just beautiful. Look at her. And the reason why I use the same brushes all the time is because your brushes are like multi-purpose. Just because it says it's a contour brush does not mean you can't use it for highlighter, does not mean you can't use it for foundation. Try what your brushes can be used for other than what they say they can be used for, because you will be surprised. Honestly. Now we're going to go into brows. So I'm going to use the only brow pencil that I use, the only brow pencil that I buy. It is by Rimmel London. It's their professional eyebrow pencil in the shade Black Brown. This is the only eyebrow pencil that I use. I know I see so many people using Benefit and all them kind of brow pencils. Brush my brows up and start at the front and do some flicking motions. And then just follow where we've carved out our brow. Concealer brush again. So I feel like this could be more carved out, so I've just cleaned it up a bit. Most times I don't like how my eyebrows come out. I'm being really picky about my eyebrows lately, and most times I don't like how they've been coming out recently, but hey ho. But yes, that's my brows filled in. But one trick that I have learned, and it has kind of changed the lip game for me, is to apply your lip gloss first before you apply your lip liner. The butter gloss in the shade Madeline. If you haven't tried Madeline, you need to try Madeline. So I'm gonna apply Madeline all over my lips. A decent amount, nothing too heavy. All over. This is from Sleek, and it's their lip liner in Just Say Nothing from the Locked Up line. So it's a brown lip liner. This is the shade of brown that it is. To go and line my lips, but with the butter gloss on. And what this is going to do is allow your lip pencil to glide onto your lips a lot better. If you apply your lip gloss first and then your lip liner, you've mixed it in without doing anything. I'm going to grab this matte lip. It's called a lip cream, and it's from Sleek, and it's in the shade Feels, and it's their Matte Me line. What I do is I grab a small amount of it and I dab it in the middle of my lip. And it just brings that nudie shade back into things. And then what you can do is just go back with Madeline. I add a pop of color or shimmer into my inner corner like so. Only thing that we have left to do is set our face, and the product that I'm going to use to set my face is one of my favorites as well. It's Morphe's Mini Continuous Setting Mist. Guys, this is the finished look. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope I explained things well. I'm going to do a lot more of these talk throughs. This is the first talk through that I've ever done on my YouTube channel, so I'm hoping that I've done a good job. All the products that I've used in this tutorial will be linked below. In terms of brushes, I will try my best. I hope to see you guys all very soon. Please take care of yourselves. Please stay safe. Please stay positive. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys very soon.